Welcome to another session of SteadiSchool and Learn Filmmaking present live Q&A webinar with operators, and we're very excited. Please, as you log in, let us know where you're coming from today. A lot of us are in Los Angeles, but we would love to hear where you're from. Mexico, India. That's great. Welcome, everyone.
Oh, cool. Okay, now I see it.
Gabe's here.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Gabe. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure seeing you.
Likewise.
New Zealand, North Carolina, Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Yeah, that's great. Italy, Arkansas. We're going to wait a minute and let everybody settle in. Please let us know where you're coming from today. We're very excited to be here.
Likewise, yes.
San Diego and Kentucky are very far apart from each other.
Poland.
Oh, Chase is on. What's up, Chase?
Arizona. There is a little Q&A box, and we will get to as many questions as you guys have throughout the session. We never get to all of them, I'm very sorry to say, but we are very grateful for your engagement and questions. ATL.
Hey, Atlanta.
Yeah, a couple Atlanta folks. Ghana.
Wow.
Nice.
Crazy.
That's great. We're grateful for everyone who attends. I'm going to start doing introductions at this time. Bella, would you be so kind as to let us know who you are? Oh, unmute yourself first, though.
Oops. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Bella Rodriguez. I'm a camera assistant and a SteadiSchool student. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're very excited to have you with us. Doug, if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Doug Hawley. I'm a Los Angeles-based writer and director and friend of the SteadiSchool, occasional stand-in as well.
And we appreciate when you do stand in for us. We hope that you're gaining a little bit of knowledge of what it's like to be in front of the camera, and that helps you in your writing behind the camera. My name is Matthew Borick. I'm a Los Angeles-based local 600 camera technician and SteadiSchool instructor. As always, moderating here, and grateful to have this platform to bring information and fun set stories to everyone. Jessica, would you be so kind?
Hey guys, Jessica Lopez, camera operator, Steadicam operator based in Los Angeles and Atlanta. Helped found SteadiSchool with Matthew Borick, and we're here hosting some really good friends, David Baldwin and Tony Reyes.
Perfecto. Thank you so much. Chris, if you would, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Cristian Aid. I am an LA-based actress, and I freelance for the SteadiSchool, the Learn Filmmaking Instagram page, and the Society of Camera Operators. So super excited to be here with all of you.
Thank you for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure having you with us. And Gabriel, if you would be so kind to tell us about yourself as well as about filmmaking.
Hey guys, my name is Gabriel Alexis. I am a producer based in New York City, and I am the founder of Learn Filmmaking. It's a platform of filmmakers, inspiring each other, learning from each other, and this is exactly what we're doing right now on Zoom.
we are very grateful for your support and for the opportunity to partner with you to bring these educational opportunities to
Thank
your
you.
audience and ours. You know, it's really great to be here with you today. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you, and Jess. You know, you guys are awesome.
You're far too kind. So our guests today are David Baldwin Jr., SOC, and Tony Reyes. I'm going to, one at a time, let them introduce themselves, and we're going to watch a little highlight reel about each one of them. So Tony, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a Steadicam operator based out of Nashville, Tennessee.
That's great. And so here's a little highlight reel of Tony's work for everybody to take in. And here we go. I'm curious about this shot. How many times did you do it before they were happy with it? Because obviously there's a lot of posts to it.
I think we rehearsed it 8 or 9 times, but we shot it, like actually rolled 6 or 7 times, and the last time with the paint is when we really nailed it.
Because it's a large oneer, right? That's how it's
Oh yeah, it's all a
be.
oneer.
Yeah.
And the grip that's bottom me there actually passed away recently, so shout out, tribute to him, Scott Phelps.
Rest in peace.
Yes.
I want to say your movement up and down those steps are pretty confident there. I like it.
I know, I think I just don't think about it. I just go for it. Oh man. This is a recent one. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fire.
Was it practical fire? Yeah, it looks like it,
Well,
right?
that was, so obviously that was. In the video, you'll see a lot of it isn't practical fire. But yeah.
It looked like a hot day at work. Sweaty.
It was pretty hot and sweaty, yeah. And this was Posty Fest in Dallas at the Cowboys Stadium.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah,
Dave,
thanks for coming.
would you please let everybody know who you are and where you're coming from?
Yeah, hey, Matt. I'm David Baldwin. I'm a camera operator, Steadicam operator living in Los Angeles and friends with Matt and Jessica. So glad to be here with my friends.
Thank you for joining us. Dave and I have had the pleasure of working together many times, and I am very excited to have him with us. Here's a little highlight reel of his work for everyone to enjoy. Hold on one second.
That guy looks so fun to work with.
Yeah.
Oh, TJ, yeah.
And John Boyega. Sansa Stark.
Nice.
Absolute sweetheart, man. One of the nicest people I've ever worked with.
That's the iHeartRadio. You do a lot for.
There's another one.
And Peyton Manning. What is that? Peyton's Places?
Yeah, Peyton's Places, a show we shot last year.
Nice.
I've been wanting to watch that. Really good.
song plays in Albertsons every time I'm in there.
Thank you for joining us, Dave. And I want to send a special thank you to Merlin Showalter. He's a SteadiSchooler and camera operator who cuts our videos for us. Sincerely, Merlin, you help us so very much, and these were great. Thank you for them.
Thank you, Merlin.
Thank you, Merlin.
Great work.
Thank you, Merlin.
Jess, if you want to get right into it, I think that you have some opening questions for both Tony and Dave.
Yeah, I like to lead with the general, you know, how'd you get started type questions. So I'll go first with Tony. My understanding is you went to college and studied communications, which led you to working as a camera operator before you became a self-taught Steadicam operator.
Yep.
How long did it take for you to start booking Steadicam gigs, and how does it feel to think back on that journey?
Good question. I bought my first Steadicam in like the summer of 2011, and I think I was too afraid to even call myself a Steadicam operator until like 2012. So I looked back like on some spreadsheets just on my jobs before this, and I think it took me like 2.5 years before I felt comfortable really pitching myself and selling myself as a Steadicam operator, to where I was competent, you know, and fundamentally sound and happy with my skill set and everything. So yeah, I mean, I'd say, you know, the first year I started booking small stuff with friends, and the second year started to build up a little more. But I think by year like 3 and 4, it started to take off. And then in 2016, I pretty much only did Steadicam around here. And that's how it's been. And that's what I wanted. But yeah, that story, like many others, changes and is different every time I answer it. But that's the gist of, you know, of how it happens. Mm-hmm.
It's like manifesting, you know, what you really want to do and just putting it out there and just going for it. And then, you know, once enough time passes, you're there. You have the credentials, you have the confidence, you have the skill, and, you know, you just keep going, putting your best foot forward. So it's pretty awesome, the journey that you've gone through, you know, all those, all the different jobs, you know, the different levels, different types of equipment you have to bring to set.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, of course, like in the beginning, it was a lot of DSLRs in that first year. So I was like buying weights to modify, you know, the sled to get it to work with, you know, a little 5D Mark II and all that stuff. But luckily, I don't have to do that anymore.
Right. All right. Thank you, Tony. And David, my question for you is, you've served in the U.S. Army before you attended film school, which you eventually made yourself over to USC. How did you find camera and Steadicam operating as a career within that path?
I want to be very clear that I am not a combat veteran. All right. I just, as out of respect for all the men and women that actually went over there to fight these wars for whatever reason we're fighting them for, you know, I was not one of those people. So I just wanted to be clear that I did not go to Iraq or Afghanistan. You know, in a lot of ways, are you talking about a path to the military, to film school, or what do you mean specifically, Jess?
I guess with interests and with how it's heightened you to get to where you are. So, I mean, the military got you, I think, the GI Bill, which helped you get your education, which also gave you mechanical skills, which also heightened your ability to be the filmmaker you wanted to be. And then you discover Steadicam.
Sure. Well, I will say that there are a lot of parallels between, you know, speaking strictly hierarchical, you know what I mean? Like between like a military organization and a film set, where everyone has their very clearly defined role, what they're supposed to do, working towards a common goal with, you know, squad leaders in charge of a couple people. You know, you've got a key grip in charge of his or her grips, and, you know, the first AC running the camera department. It's, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, you kind of learn how to take responsibility for yourself and to fulfill your role to work towards, you know, a bigger goal, you know, of the, you know, the collaborative effort of filmmaking, I'd say.
That's a very, very nice response. And then I actually remember meeting you at was it your first Steadicam workshop?
No, no, no. I met you. That was my second. My first Steadicam workshop was in 2005. I took Peter's class, Peter Abraham, who's still teaching, by the way, everyone. So, you know, hit him up. But I took his class at the old Burns and Sawyer when they were over there off of Cole, Santa Monica, and like, you know, over there. And I took the 2-day flyer workshop, and the one I met you at was the 2000, either 10 or 11, I can't remember, the Lake Arrowhead Classic, which is now on the Queen Mary and had been in Malibu for years. But we met in either 2010 or 2011 at the 6-day workshop, not the little 2-day guy.
Gotcha. Oh, also to tag on to that, both Doug down there in the other corner and myself have also taken the 2-day workshop with Peter Abraham. That
Okay.
man sure knows how to inspire some people. It's amazing. If you can come under his lessons,
Oh yeah,
you're a Steadicam op. That's how.
it worked. I mean, that's what worked for me. But like Tony, I bought the rig. I had, you know, I saved the money. I figured it was like, I don't know, $6 or $7 grand to buy the flight, which was all the money in the world to me. Now it's like I got that much in batteries. But like, you know, like, but back then it was all the money in the world to me. And I bought it, and it came in that big soft case, and I just looked at it, and and it was a footrest for a little while, and I didn't tell anybody, and I was embarrassed. And it was probably 6, 8, 10 months before I even took it out of there and started practicing with it. You know, like I was sort of afraid. So don't be afraid of it. You know, don't be afraid of that gear. You're not going to get any better looking at it, you know? So, and I wasted some time, you know, back then. Sure.
Thank you for sharing.
You know, it's great because it's a daunting task to get in it and get comfortable, and everyone does it at their own pace. Gabe, do you perchance have an audience one for us right away? I know it's early, but I'd love to hear from the audience if you got a good one.
Yeah, yes, I do. This question is from Daniel. He said, he's asking, what is your advice for a younger person just out of college, breaking into the industry as a Steadicam operator for live sports?
Tony, yeah, do you feel like you could field that one?
Sure, yeah. You know, a good start maybe would be to work with, did he say he was in college? Is that correct?
He said he is just out of college.
Just out of college. I mean, if it were me, I would assume he has some sort of a relationship with that college. So I would maybe try to get with that football team or basketball team, you know, and start working with that. There usually is a want, especially for like highlight football type reels, you know, and there's already sort of a connection there. So that would be a start.
Right.
So that would be my initial go-to.
I think I can give a little perspective on that. Although I didn't pursue the live sporting events, and although I really wanted to get on an NFL football field with a Steadicam, that wasn't my path. But I know in college I interned for the local broadcasting news company, and I worked with them a little bit, you know, right out of college before I moved out to LA. And I would go to their basketball events, or I'd go to like a tennis match, golf, you know, just the most random stuff. But I would shoot as one of the camera operators perched up in, you know, the bleachers or something.
Yeah.
So an internship at a broadcasting company could probably get you closer to that goal as well, I think.
Yeah. And even like where I am, in Nashville, it's more live type productions. So it's a little more common to be able to slide into those types of things. I'm curious where he is or what market he's in, you know. But yeah, I think I would start with, you know, with the college and check them. And then, like Jess said, an internship with a local type company, or if there's a live like production type company, like truck type company, like that would be another big in, you know, if you want to run a Steadicam, and if he already has a Steadicam, having the gear is half of it or more. No. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thanks. Bella, Would you like to present one of our guests with a question?
Yeah, I have a question for Tony. So, what was your first big break when you finally thought like, okay, I made it?
I think I thought back on that. I kind of marinated on that today. I would say it hit me when I was, I did a tour for Oprah. She did like a speaking type tour around the US. So like before we did our opening shot where she like, it was like an elevator up, is kind of big production for her and the lights come on. I think that moment, like realizing I was sharing a stage with Oprah to like introduce her to the audience. And that was in 2014. That was probably my big moment where I was like, I can't believe I'm in this position. Like, how in the world did I get here? But yeah, that would probably be it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's great. Doug, do you perchance have one for Dave for us?
I do. Dave, did you spend any time as an AC or in any other position before you landed where you are now?
You know, Doug, I did not. I didn't spend, other than when I was at school and we would all sort of, you know, we were working on the ARESs and the SR2s back then. We would all sort of learn how to load each other's cameras and set them up. And for projects, I never professionally worked as an assistant camera person, which I regret, to be honest with you. But it's not unheard of, especially people kind of backdoor operating by somehow getting their hands on a Steadicam. You know what I mean? Like if you can get your hands or an access to that, you can sort of leap through. I do know a lot of seconds who have become operators. They're moving up from second to first to operator isn't a path I've seen too much, even though it certainly happens and happens to this day, because as we all know, a first AC is the hardest job on set. And that's kind of like a terminal job. If you get there and you're functioning as a first AC on these big projects, I mean, you're the most valuable person on set, in my opinion. And that's sort of where they want to be. But you'll see the seconds, I do see seconds wanting to get into operating more so than firsts, for sure. I regret it. I feel that there are things that I don't know that I should know by not having come up, through the camera ranks like that, personally.
Right on. Thank you
on that too, David. I wish I spent more time in the loader and a second AC position before I started climbing, just because I want to be more useful and helpful and more of a leader to my team by understanding all the various parts of their job, which is never ending. The tasks they have to go through.
I'll make a military analogy for you. It's often said that the best lieutenants were sergeants first. Dudes that had gone through the enlisted ranks before they went to officers candidate school and got commissioned as lieutenants. They make better officers. Not always, but if you've been there, the empathy and understanding what that job involves can skyrocket. So there's a ridiculous military analogy that does apply. That does apply in this case.
Thank you, Dave. It's humbling to hear you say that you wished you would have kind of moved up in a different manner, especially as a career assistant. You're right that I love my job and I don't plan to move up, at least not anytime soon. And it's funny to hear you say that seconds often jump to operating, because I've also seen that be the case. That oftentimes if you get into my position as a focus puller, you stay in it because you want to get good at it. And it doesn't happen in a year; it happens in a decade.
Right. Exactly.
Can I add to that? I was curious, Tony, do you work with focus pullers all the time, or do your focus pullers become utilities? Do you self-pull focus?
So for like the live type environments where it's, I don't know how to explain, like a normal truck body, but it's a 2/3 inch size. So it's a small sensor. I'm typically focused, but it's just nowhere near as critical as with a normal Super 35 sensor or something like that. So oftentimes I'm, doing my move or practicing my move and setting it at 15 feet or wherever I need to be and then adjusting as I go. But then I would say the other half of my work or so, which is oftentimes like music videos where it's, you know, a mini or something like that. Obviously I have a normal camera team with the first and second pulling focus and all that. So yeah.
Thank you for that info.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. Chris, do you perchance have another one from the audience for us?
Yes, I have one from Divjan. Sorry if I say this wrong. Sharma. He's asking, if you're very new to filmmaking, what advice could you give people on a start? Like, is it better to go to school? Is it better to get an internship, to start as a camera PA, as a regular PA? Like, what would you guys recommend to them that are here today?
For me, I would say like all of those things work. I mean, if you could do all of them. I liked my time going to school. I think it also gave me some time to grow up and network a little more. But I would say all of those things. And I did an internship as well, 2 internships actually down in San Diego. But I think all of that was very valuable. And I think internships, I still draw on those things today. It was an old first AC that was tough on me. I'll just say that. But yeah, so all of those, I think internships are good, and I think networking is extremely important. That's my take on it.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that before David answers? So how do you go about finding internships and networking events?
Okay. I would say, I mean, networking naturally happens even, like, let's say you're at your college or film school. Everyone from your film school, if you run into someone down the road and they're from your school, you naturally have that network. I mean, then there's also, you know, going to NAB or Cinegear, you know, or things like that, and just, you know, shaking hands and meeting people and introducing yourself. Or, you know, social media is also very helpful. I mean, that's, and it can go further on. As far as internships go, mine was very connected to professional paintball. Like I didn't play professionally, but I played at that time, and this guy was doing documentaries on that. So it sort of connected. Do you know the guy Patrick Spohr, David?
I don't. No.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, that was my world at that time. So it's sort of like my love for professional paintball and like old, you know, paintball videos, which are kind of like this. And then filmmaking or production or editing, which that's what it was at that time, kind of blended together, which is a common theme that I noticed throughout my career. You know, things blending together that you love. So, yeah. Did that answer your question? Sort of.
Yes. What about you, David?
Oh, very, very similar to what, you know, to what Tony was saying. It can be a combination of everything. And I'm curious, like I live in Los Angeles and Tony lives in Nashville, which is another pretty large production hub. I mean, I know it's, you know, it's the music capital. He's up to here with music videos, and they're doing more, you know, more narrative. But like, I'm curious to all the folks that live all over, you know, the world and the country, like what that even means. Like if you live in, you know, let's say, you know, Des Moines, Iowa, you know what I mean? Like, and you want to go in the film business, but you're not, you know, ready to take the leap and move to New York or Los Angeles or Atlanta. Like so I'm more curious about if, when people ask that question, are they looking to stay where they are and sort of make the most of whatever local film business? Cause I know there's small little businesses all over the place. Are they looking to move to a hub? Cause I can't really speak to, you know, to a smaller market or a market that doesn't really have a film business. But out here, everyone's path, you're going to ask that question 100 times. You're going to get 100 different answers. And I feel like just being willing to work for, you know, no matter where you are or where you're starting, like to let your ego to just check it. You know what I mean? Like to just totally not think, I don't care if you went to Harvard, you're going to have to work for free, you know, or who your dad is, you're going to have to at the get-go do something, you know, to even get your foot in the door, really. So, I mean, what you find is a lot of people have other jobs when they first start out here. You can't just jump right in. You're waiting tables or you're doing something, while you're doing what you can, because it is going to take, in my opinion, it's going to take some hustle to get in that door, to get in. I not to discourage, I want to encourage everyone to do it, but it's not an easy path, and everyone's path is different. So as far as personally for me, it was taking out $1 bazillion in student loans that I'm still paying off and going to film school, where I met, to this day, 90% of the people I work with, either directly or indirectly, came from there. Now this is a camera specific Zoom call, so I'll speak strictly to, the camera world. If you're living in a major market that has rental houses, you got to go, you go work at those rental houses. You're going to, people, I still work with people like directors and producers that talk about their days at Panavision. Oh yeah, I knew that guy at Panavision back there. So I can't stress enough working at a rental house, and then making yourself available to any camera professionals that anybody working in the camera business. It once took me 5 times to get a job at a bar I wanted to work at in Charlottesville, Virginia. I had to ask 5 times. Ask somebody 5 times if you can help, if you can carry their stuff, like whatever you got to do. If you know someone who's in camera and you want to be in camera, bother that person, go pester that person, until they're and then more than that, do the job. Like when you do get the chance, just do what you can. Leave your ego at the door, make yourself useful, and you'll know right away if it's for you. It's not for everybody, but if it's for you, you'll be able to put up with a lot and you'll get where you want to go. I swear. That's how every single person who's working got there, one way or another.
Yeah.
Matt and I both started out at Panavision. We met, in 2007, and here we are. So, I mean, look at that.
Add to that.
Yeah.
Like like going through like my couple of internships, that guy was very adamant about me working at a rental house in Nashville, and that's what I did, to help me get my start, or just even be more acquainted with cameras. Although I spent months cleaning cables and sticks and cases, but it gave me another respect for things. And then even further on from that, like nothing against people that are able to slide into a nicer position, like a camera assistant or an operator or something. But man, I spent like, a couple of years just PAing, and getting people coffee and driving directors around and all that stuff. But it really gave me a full appreciation for just everybody on the crew, or I got stuck with art, or crafty or whatever. But
the art department does a lot of the hard work.
Yes, I carried a lot of couches around and assembled a lot of stuff from IKEA and everything. But it just makes where I am that much sweeter, I guess. Like I'm very happy to be where I am. Yeah.
And to chime into that, it takes a little bit of research. It takes a little bit of, ambition and confidence to put yourself out there too, to like, oh, I'm interested in this. Let me Google what Steadicam is. Let me find out the history of something.
Yeah.
Let's find out what the guys are, what kind of gear they're using. Let's Google what that gear is. It's all like a ripple effect.
It like Dave's saying, like, maybe reach out to people and kind of annoy them a little bit.
In a humble way.
In a humble way. But there's a Steadicam op that I really look up to still. His name's John Perry. He's more so in the live world.
Oh, he's the man. John Perry's got the live world on lockdown.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does.
So he's someone that in the beginning that I was reaching out to, and he's from my area. So, but of course, the first time I reached out to him, hey, nothing, crickets. And then I went to my old professor, like after I'd graduated, and he was like, just send him more emails. That guy's extremely busy, but sure enough, and this is when I was in the middle of being a PA, luckily John replied and let me come hang out on set. And he put me in the truck to watch his monitor, and then I hung out with him on another day. And yeah, it was like you said, Dave, it's kind of carrying his cases around a little bit. But that was a pivotal moment in my career, because that's when like the hooks just locked in. And I was like, that's it. Like, especially in the live world in particular, like this is what I want to do. Like just nothing else, So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when I encourage anyone, to contact the people they know, and if they don't, And if they don't know anyone or they don't live anywhere where there is a camera business, you know, it's like, maybe it's not next year, maybe it's not in 2 years, but if that's your goal, start working towards, you know,
Right.
you know, getting to where you know, to where you want to be, you know, however that may be, what, you know, whatever that means for the individual, you know, and, you know, like everyone started and crickets, like Tony was saying, crickets, you know, he was persistent about it and got there. And then more importantly, he got there and did his job. Everyone, you know, he got there and did it with, like, wanted to be there. You know, wasn't acting like he was doing anybody any favors, you know, because we've all seen that, you know, I've seen that attitude before, and it doesn't last, man. You know, you don't got to prostrate yourself, you know, and kiss everyone's butt. That's not the point, but it's sort of just when you do get the chance, because the chance will come, you know, just do the best you can, do a good job with a good attitude.
Yeah. It is funny, like, because I try to at least answer people when they message me, some sort of answer at least. But even some people, you know, young people meet up in town for coffee or whatever and make myself available. I'm surprised if they're like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm like, okay, we're good, man. I'm not going to bother with you anymore. It's like, what's the point if you don't care enough to meet me for coffee?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me go right into the next question. Tony, do you have any offset workout routines, or how do you like to stay conditioned for live sports?
So the consistent answer to that is I don't have a crazy, can you guys see me? Okay, there we go. I don't have a crazy workout routine or anything. I do some specific stretches, especially before sports type stuff, where I'm doing quite a bit of jogging like that, even just to get where I try to get my hips really good. I try to get my lower back, and then sort of normal like leg stretches like calves and everything like that. And then usually before or after, I'll do protein, even sometimes at halftime I'll take creatine. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but just to replenish your muscles really good, obviously staying hydrated. But I don't have like a normal like regimented workout routine. But yeah, that's about what I do though.
David, you?
No, I haven't been to a gym since 1992. You know, I try to, you know, when I'm working, like you know, it's been a little slow lately with the Rona, but you know, when you're working a lot, you're Steadicamming a lot, like the last thing personally I wanted to do was to go do any sort of, you know, weight-based exercises, any resistance exercises. I do a lot of stretching. I wouldn't call it yoga. It's just sort of me on the floor, sort of rolling around, you know, like, like that, and asking my wife and kids to rub me, and they never will, you know, but that's, you know, that's sort of what I could go for. You know, I try to eat okay, try to drink a lot. Hey, there we are, Maddie. And, you know, just stretch and be really careful. Like more, I would be more proactive with your body. Just be cautious. I know Jessica's always getting on me about my hands because she's my friend and comes over to my house, and I'm digging in the garden, and I'm, you know, my hands are always tore up. But I just try to be really, really cautious of how I move with my back and my leg. You know, like, you know, just be extra more cautious, like moving around and stuff, as opposed to any exercises that I do. You know, just stretch your back, and the only way to get Steadicam muscles is to Steadicam, boys and girls. You know, so that's like back to the flyer days. You know, we'll go back to 2006, and I had my little flyer, and I'd have a little DVX on that thing, you know, just, you know, weighed nothing. And my spinal erector muscles would be thrashed after 10 minutes of running around under a 20-pound load, you know, and, you know, keep going and keep doing it. And those muscles start to build themselves up just by Steadicamming. So practicing with your Steadicam as a new Steadicam operator, or borrowing your friend's Steadicam, or going somewhere where you can get one on your body, you keep doing it, and those muscles are going to get a lot stronger on their own. And I will say this, fight through the fatigue, and keep your back as straight as you can. When you start rounding your back under load is when you're going to hurt yourself, and when you're going to start putting the pressure on those discs and getting into bulging and herniated discs. So really good posture when you're doing it. fight through the muscles when you get too tired, put it down and come back later. But just practice is going to make your body strong. Practice it on your Steadicam.
Also, David, one thing you didn't mention, I know your workout routine. You happen to work out by doing a lot of gardening.
I do. I do. I just put 28 15-gallon ficuses. I dug a 60-foot by 24-inch by 18-inch deep trench. I mean, I had nothing else to do. It took me a week, and I dug it. And then I'm putting in, once we're done, I'm going to put in 5 more crepe myrtles out front. So gardening. Jeez. I like to garden.
Yeah, if you can't find David, he's probably in his yard gardening. But yeah, it's wicked. I'll see David, have on his hibernation, winter, I don't know, eating body shape, and then summer comes, I come over and visit him. He's in the middle of the ground of his backyard, digging away, all ripped and sweaty, and like he's out in the field or something. Okay.
All right.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. I love conversations. They're honest, especially right now. Gabe, do you perchance have one from the audience?
Yes, I do. So this basic is a follow-up question. This is from Tim. What moves do you find you have needed the most practice on your career? Stairs, downs, vehicle shots, and the list goes on.
Yeah, that's a great question. What the hardest stuff is doing a parallel tracking shot, right? Like if, on a longer-ish, something bigger, longer than 50, let's say 65, 75 millimeters, you're here and your subject is there and you're against a wall with all these horizontal and verticals and you've got no room for error and you're just doing a tracking shot. That, to me, that's very difficult. Stairs have never been my strong suit. Like it's the only time I ever go to Don Juan. Like a lot of operators will operate actually on that little sizzle reel that Merlin put together is a great switch from Tony at a Don Juan there. But I don't Don Juan too. I walk backwards a lot and really trust my grips. And that's just because I got scared of Don Juan early in my career and just sort of learned around it. And because I was scared of it, I sort of worked around it, and I should probably work on that. But but so, hey, learn Don Juan early. Don't be scared of it. Don't be like me and be afraid of it. But stairs are really tough. So I sort of just point my crosshairs and hope for the best, and now that I got that volt, I don't have to worry about it too much anymore. Yeah. I'll just sort of yawn and point it back and just sort of go for it. No, it's not quite that easy. But stand up, sit downs, those are really hard. I'm still practicing those, especially on just on sticks, just on conventional operating, not just Steadicam. And I mean, that's a lifetime of working on that to get those perfect. And when you see it, man, when you see the masters pull those sit down, stand ups off, you're just like, give me something to aspire to. Tony?
I would say the really technical things, like Neil Bryant's whip pans, like the whip pan king. Like, I mean, when I see that kind of stuff, it really blows my mind, but then stuff that I'm working my shots, even like how quickly I start, how round. I guess maybe I'm right now working subtle things. But it's a continuous thing, and maybe that's partly what I'll ever feel like I'm like complete or like I'm there, and then I've just mastered it all.
Tony, I hate to say it, but your video cut in and out a bunch, and so could you? It's okay. It's not on you, but could you do a brief summary of the last 15 seconds of what you said?
Sure. I think maybe it's where I was talking about pacing. Like I'm like, my current thing is I'm working on like my my pacing of my operating, and just more subtle things and stuff that I wasn't as cognizant of before. So that's currently where I'm at, what I'm working on. Yeah.
That's great.
That was it.
No, that was it. You're right. You were talking about what you were working on.
Okay.
Thank you. And thanks for your patience, everybody. Again,
Thank you.
there's the Q&A box. Please put your questions in the Q&A box and we'll try to get to as many as we can. Chris, did you perchance find another good one in there?
I do. I actually have, I'm going to combine two questions because they kind of go hand in hand. One is from Tim Weddy and the other one is from Tim Figueira. So they are asking, how much of the gear that you have is yours, like that you own, versus like that you usually rent? And what is one accessory from your kit that you always have on set that you can't live without, but that is not your arm or your vest or your sled?
It's a great question. Yeah, you want to go ahead, Tony, you go first.
Crap.
Tony, you want?
My internet's, you guys, do you have me?
We do have you right now. Do you not
Oh,
have
gosh.
us?
Yeah, I did. It just like ramped up.
Well, you're still with us for now. Did you hear the question?
Okay. I did hear the question.
Great.
Yeah, a piece of gear that, for me, it's my rolling stand.
Oh, no. Oh,
Did you guys
no.
catch that?
No.
He like his rolling stand.
It's my rolling stand. American rolling stand. Oh, no.
That looks like
There
a
it is.
Matthews. I'm going to say that's a Matthews stand. But yeah, I agree with the stand. Definitely
Yeah.
love my stand.
Yeah.
How about you,
And
David?
then-
Oh, sorry. What'd you say,
I was
Tony?
gonna say, like, I own all my gear. We just don't own the cameras. They're always rented or provided. Yeah. That's it. Come on, internet.
As far as my gear, what you see the operators not having to have as much as we certainly had to have when we started is your own focus stuff. Because for you know, I still have an old hand unit 2 and an MDR2 and a Bartek, analog Bartek, digital Bartek that I have, but very rarely do I use them. I mean, 9.9 out of 10 jobs are going to have, you know, either they're getting their focus and their wireless stuff from the rental house, or it's a chance for the AC to get a rental. You know, I'm already getting my rental, you know, for my sled and stuff. So if he or she has, you know, their Preston that they want to get on, it's a way for the AC to get a little money too for the run of the show. So I think more operators are not allowing, but are, you know, the ACs are getting some money too. They're getting a little piece of that rental pie, which is great. And as far as gear that, so yeah, I own the sled, the vest, the arm, all the knickknacks, you know, like knickknacks. We got Jessica's Super Post right over there, you know. You know, if the director wants to get, I got sick of, you'll start to find yourself buying more gear such as gyros and Super Posts because you don't want to say no. You don't want to tell the DP or the director, you can't do that. Well, why can't you do? Oh, it's too windy, or I can't get that low. You want to just say, yeah, give me a second. Oh yeah, there's a Super Post. Give me a second. I'm gonna run to the truck. You know, why don't you guys do something else for 10 minutes? And I'm gonna go put the Super Post on, and we can get you that shot all the way on the ground. So you'll start, once you get your basics, you'll start to see little things. And the people that invented that stuff under the pressure cooker, all those things that make our lives easier came from operators and assistants and grips that were working with this stuff and had to solve things on the fly. And now they're marketed. We have it pretty easy. Piece of gear I can't live without. There's some gyros right there. Piece of gear I can't live without is my my SOS plate that our good friend Justin Brown makes. You know, being able to go from steady, like everybody hates standing there with your Steadicam. Not only that, not only is it's uncomfortable, you can hurt yourself. You know, like you stand there putting that kind of pressure on your nerves and your hips, you're going to find yourself hurt. So any occasion, if they just want you to stand there and play human tripod or bleeding sticks, as we say, and you can get that camera onto something that takes no time at all to go off and on, you're going to save yourself and your career is going to be longer on the back end. So I will say that my SOS plate, for those who don't know, which allows me to pop the camera off, put it onto a tripod, undoing a couple of BNC cables, maybe a Preston cable here and there, and putting it back on, is a lifesaver, especially when you show them how quickly you can do it. So that's my favorite piece of gear.
I actually have Justin's prototype still, and I still use it. The very first SOS plate.
Is it anodized or is it silver?
Silvery. It's like worn.
Yeah. I have version 2, and I remember I was meeting him at Yuka's Tacos over there on Hillhurst, and he pulled up. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to be in your hood." He's like, "Yeah, I'll bring it. You know, give me some money and I'll trade you that." It was like a drug deal going on. And Justin pulls up on his moped. He's got like a moped and like a helmet. It's not even buckled. You know, I'm like, all right, like flip flops. You know, like riding around. Here, I'm like, you want that much? You want how much for that thing, dude? Not buying the tacos? You know? Right. Sorry.
That's great. Davey, someone made a comment in the chat about RoboCups, and I would love to hear your 2 cents, because I've got 3 RoboCups, but I believe that you have a very good story about the origin of RoboCups.
All right. Now, as far as I know, I'm responsible for the RoboCup being a thing in the camera world. And you know, like the only in my rationale behind that is my dad, who just passed away this year. He lived in Morehead City, North Carolina, which is the fishing capital of the world. They're on, you know, they've got shows on the Discovery Channel where, you know, with their marlin fishing there. There's more boats than cars, and it's really beautiful. It's the very southern tip of the Outer Banks, and it's where Blackbeard used to have his ship. So there's a whole pirate sort of theme going on. But anyway, years and years ago, I'm out fishing with my homie Donnie, and he's got this thing clamped on with his, I think he was drinking High Lifes. I think he was drinking the Buckskins, the banquets, right? You know, and the core, either the Coors, I can't remember if it was Coors or Miller High Lifes, but anyway, it was sitting in this thing, and I said, dude, that would be perfect for a camera cart. I'm can you take me to the store to get one? So we go to the Maritime Supply store. I buy a couple. I use one. I gave it away. And then I was ordering them offline from these marine companies. This is years ago. And I was giving them out to my ACs. That's it. So next thing I know, everyone's got them. They're the camera thing. But I was the first person I know to ever see them and to give them out here in Los Angeles. So I'm taking full credit for it. All right.
That's pretty cool, David. I've actually been in contact with AJ over at the RoboCup. He's been, he wants to get us some cups for SteadiSchool, you know, to help give to the students. So
I got some. I'm looking at my RoboCups right here. They're clamped to there's my cart. There's some cups right there. Some RoboCups right there.
Perfect. Thank you. That's great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's so cool.
Doug, you got one for us? I'd love to hear another question from you.
Yeah, I do. Tony, how much liberty do you have to go off and find shots on game day? And was this something that maybe you have right off the bat, or kind of maybe grew over time?
So for the Titans, I would say it's a lot of liberty to go out and find shots. And even like one of the shots that's on Instagram where I'm running Don Juan, like that was an idea I pitched. I don't know if that's what you just showed, sorry. But that's something that I pitched to the director that day, and it kind of went off without a hitch. But yeah, so I mean, with the Titans, it's not live television or anything, so it's a little more forgiving. It's really going out and finding the best stuff for our show. But then for a lot of live directors, but for
that's
a
your
lot
Don Juan video.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So I'm looking at a black screen. But yeah, for like a lot of directors, it depends. They're all kind of different. Live directors specifically is what I'm talking about. It's like some of them want to walk you in to the shot, just every little detail. And then some of them really lean on you to be as creative as possible and sell you on things. So it's kind of, in the live world, it kind of depends on the director, really, is the answer to that. Yeah.
Right on. Thank you. I guess, where are you most comfortable? Do you like just kind of getting out there and finding it, or do you like a lot of direction?
I guess it depends. Like with the football stuff, like I kind of already know what I'm gonna do, and I'm very comfortable in that world. So I guess with that, yeah, I do like to just be able to go and do my own thing, you know. But then when it comes to very specific, maybe like award shows or things like that, that are a little more technical, or less forgiving, then yes, I do like more direction and more input or more notes, you know, in that way.
I know you can't see it, but Matt just pulled up a picture of you with the Titan cheerleaders.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I get a lot of flack for that, but yeah, I like my job.
That's great. Thank you, Doug and Tony. Bella, do you have a question for Dave at this time?
Yeah, so myself and some other people in the chat have asked, David, could you describe how you prefer a spotter to help you?
Oh, great question. I'm more of a hands-off spotter. I know, you know, some people like a little bit. You know, that's not super hands-off. But like I like more confidence, you know, and you know, like somebody that I know, if I'm gonna fall, I'm gonna be okay. I just want them to kind of protect the camera. You know what I mean? So I have that conversation beforehand. Now I work, like, if I'm on a show, I'm working with the key grip or the dolly grip, whoever's doing it. You know, they know my preferences. But if it's just a day playing kind of thing, I tell them to just sort of, you know, if we're in a non-crowded place, like if we're walking down a hall and there's nobody behind me, I sort of have them I just say, hey, just kind of be there, be behind me. And if I trip over my feet, go for the camera, because I'm gonna be okay. If we're maneuvering through crowds, I tell them to do it like a middle school dance, you know, where they sort of just put their hands on my hips, right, and walk me backwards nice and gently, not sudden jerks, because those will go right to the lens. You know, like a jerk on the operator is going to go through your hips, up your spine, into your vest, right into, you know, to the post and right to the lens. So nice, simple moves really help. And paying attention and like walking with me, like I'll have them walk with me before the shot to point out potentially where I'm going to need some actual physical movement and touching around certain things like that. I like them talking to me, sometimes giving me a countdown, like on stairs. Okay, 3, 2, 1, step. Like they're your eyes, you know, like they're your eyes. And working with a good spotter is, I mean, they're worth their weight in gold. Your dolly grip out their spot and you like that, because you're really flying blind without that person there for you. And it's a lot of trust.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that answer.
Sure.
Tony, do you also feel the same, or do you have a different preference?
Yeah, like I think it's all circumstantial, kind of like what Dave said. If it's something really technical and I'm doing a lot of things where I'm like maybe backing through a crowd, and it kind of depends on who the grip is too and what kind of relationship and trust we have. But you know, sometimes I will, you know, have them, you know, either on my hips or like the rib pads of the vest kind of guiding, maybe pushing on the left or right, and I react based on that pressure. And then
exactly.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just jerking you around like you said. And then in the live world, oftentimes we're dodging, you know, lights that are on the ground or monitors, speaker monitors. So they're, and those tend to be just in the weirdest places sometimes, but they're helping us get around those things or set pieces. So yeah, I think it's very circumstantial, and it's based on the relationship that you have with your spotter, which, yeah, as long as it's good and you trust whether it's hands-on is what I'd prefer.
Another part of your job, Tony, is someone is actually wrangling a cable sometimes when you're doing those jobs. So that can be a factor in that spotting as well.
Yes. Like those guys are highly skilled and sought after. They're Steadicam utilities. But to be able to, you know, wrangle a cable, like wrapping it correctly, and then also be spotting you or guiding you around a stage, is just, and making you feel as if you're wireless it's priceless, you know. So especially someone you know, I don't know if I'm at that point yet, but somebody like John Perry has his 1 or 2 guys that go with him all around the world. But yeah, it's very important. I would say, like, I mean, I've had a guy, you know, while he's wrangling cable, stop me from walking right off an 8-foot stage. So yes, it's a very important skill as a Steadicam utility in the live world.
It's a pretty important skill to have trusted people.
Yeah,
To be able to do your job.
Ultimately, yeah, I guess that's what it comes down to is, you know, that rapport and that relationship or trust. Like you said, trust it's key.
Great answers. Yeah, thank you both. Gabe, do you have one more from the audience for us?
Yes, I do. This question is for Tony and David. What are some challenges you have faced technically with gear or mentally with a shot, and how have you overcome them?
You want to go first, Dave?
Okay.
Go for it.
With gear, oh man, I just remember. I remember back in the day when before you know LCDs came out, we were still down converting for our green screens and stuff. You would pray that the decimator wouldn't go out. Like they would have this very distinct little. They had a proprietary connector that would just burn out. And it would happen fairly regularly. You'd have to have a backup decimator and your friends on call for their decimator if yours went out, because you would lose video. So you would just sort of pray that your decimator didn't die. And then after that, before, you know, when I sort of had a bunch of secondhand gear and that's all I could afford at the time, like I would pray that my Preston wouldn't break. I would pray that my motors wouldn't act up. I would pray that my M1 motor with my Bartec the potentiometer wouldn't die on me, and I'd be able to pull focus. Like those were very real fears that I had day in and day out, you know, before I got to a point where, you know, A, my gear was something I could trust, or B, I was working on shows that provided, you know, that sort of stuff. It was mostly just wireless video or in the early days of the Teradek, you know, or even back in the Modulus days, the wireless going out or your focus going out, because you're pretty much, unless you're shooting on a 15 out of 8, you know, 15 millimeter at 5.68, I mean, you're going to need focus. And they would try to do the old, like from the barrel, you know, and like, I'll be real gentle about it, dude, I swear. You know, so it wouldn't work.
And then they're like, why can't you keep the camera straight?
Yeah.
That was it. It was living in fear, because your Steadicam can't break, you know, for the most part. Worst comes to worst, at least with my Pro. Like I could always, if for some reason the connection down the post, if the wiring up top or the wiring down here, you know, the bottom stage of the upper J box, if something happens, if it gets wet, for the most part, we can hardwire outside of the rig. You know, we can bypass the rig, and the rig just becomes, you know, purely mechanical at that point. It has no electricity running through it. Camera's got a battery powering it. Somehow we're powering our monitor from a battery, and you're running a BNC cable externally. So the Steadicam can't break. It's more of unless you break it, you know, unless you, you know, but it's not going to go down, you know, unless something falls off of it, mechanically speaking. You know, mechanically it can't break unless it breaks. And you know, so there are ways around that. It's all the external stuff. It's all the AKS that's going to give you a problem in my experience.
For me, like I started with an old Master Series sled and the Master Arm and the Master Vest. So there was like the latch on the gimbal. There's some sort of like graphite spacer underneath there, and that cracked. So I was always terrified of my gimbal sliding up in the middle of a shot. Smacking, and that'd be super embarrassing, obviously. And then also that vest was kind of noisy at times, and when that mattered, that was pretty embarrassing. And then also the arm, like the lower tension knob, and I don't know the technicalities of it. I got it into Ray to fix it, but that knob just popped off one day. So I've had my stuff break, and I thought I was pretty good with it, but Yeah, and it was older gear too, and I don't know who owned it before I did, but yeah, maintaining my gear and that stuff breaking in the middle of shots or being nervous about it breaking in the middle of shots definitely was a real thing. You know, at times before I got, you know, my pro sled and my newer tip and arm and my pro vest and all that stuff.
And I think back to another part of the question was like, what did you do? Like we've all had moments. This has happened to me a couple times on iHeart gigs where due to interference in the room, like the Preston's not behaving, and it's my own gear too. You know, like they, you know, like most, like I said, 99% of my jobs don't require me to bring that stuff. Well, this is one of the 1% that does. So they don't want excuses. So you're about to go, you know, like it's live. I mean, it's going out to the world. You know, we're about to do a T.I. concert or a Trey Songz or Snoop or somebody. And my AC comes up, it's like, Dave, it's not working. And it's the last thing you want to hear 30 seconds before you go out. And what you got to do is you just sit there and you change the, you know, you got to be calm. You got to be cool inside. You're freaking out.
No matter what.
Yeah. You know, you just stay calm because they're going to feed off you as the operator there, you know, so you got to stay calm. Even inside you're like, and you unplug everything one by one. You know, this here, you go here. And you know what? Somehow it works. Maybe it's praying. I don't know. You know, but the reason if you just chill out, unplug everything, plug it back in, change the channel, it'll work. We had an issue. We were shooting for Peyton's Places. We were shooting Tom Brady and Peyton, a shot of them getting out of the car, and I was going to do a backwards, no Don Juan, just backwards walking up the hill, no spotters with films. And right before we go, we're already rolling. You just roll. You just hit the red button early and it just rolls forever. And we're already rolling and they're about to get out and my video goes out, my BNC cable. It's, you know, I'm jiggling in it. I'm jiggling all the connections and it's going out. And at the, you know, they're coming up, the car's literally pulling up and I say to the utility, I have him go grab a 6-foot BNC cable. He brings it up. We take it out of the sled, ended up being bad BNC connectors. And like I was saying earlier, we hardwired it from the camera into my monitor. Like literally, I don't know, 45 seconds before I had to do the shot, start walking backwards. And you just have to keep cool because those guys don't want excuses, man. You tell them, you tell those guys that your video's down and Mr. Brady and Mr. Manning have to wait for you, dude. They'll never call you again. They will never call you again. You just have to solve it and be cool about it and quick about it. You know, right there.
To tag on to that, it is a sequence of solutions that you kind of keep in the back of your head over the years that you grow into this job position. You've already been down the cable road. You've been down the monitor road. You've been down the decimator road. So all this stuff lives in your head and that allows you to go through those sequences of solutions to solve the problem quickly. Like you pretty much now having, you know, this, 15, 20 years of experience, you now can go right almost to the problem. It's probably 3 different tries and then you fixed it as opposed to it was a sequence. You probably took apart the rig and everything. It's being fast and efficient, but also not wasting time at all. And do not waste time.
And you're also at this stage of the game, you know, you got an AC like Matt, you're going to be able to know very soon if it is fixable. You know what I mean? Like if it's like, they're going to be able to tell you within a couple of minutes. Now, if there was a huge problem, you can always say, hey guys, there's a huge problem. You know, I don't not anyone to think they can't speak up if the gear's not working and they're expecting you to roll your camera and it's not working. You say, hey guys, give us one, ask for your time, demand your time. You need your time, you know, but if it's something that can be solved, you're going to try everything you can to solve that until you can't anymore, you know, and that's when you let people know, and you do let them know because you can't keep that a secret very long if the gear's not working. You know, people are looking at you and you gotta, you know, you keep it to yourself. You don't gonna go, hey, we got a problem camera. You keep that to yourself. You keep that to yourself, you know, until you have to share that information, but you do share it as quickly once you know that there is an issue.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those stories.
I'm sure we could keep going on and on.
No, it's really good to actually hear that, guys. Well, I have to run. Thank you, David, for taking the time to speak to the community. and I will see you guys soon, okay? Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Gabe.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Gabriel.
for joining us, Gabe.
Thank you. Bye.
We're going to keep going. And at this point, Chris is going to pull another one from the audience. And so thanks for sticking with us, and stoked to have everybody here.
Thank you everyone for the questions. We're trying to get through all of them as fast as we can. So I have one from Tim, and he is asking, when you're working with an actor, what is a good communication tool that helps you nail the shot and allows the actor to be more comfortable with you operating?
You, Dave. That's you.
Man, I talk to the actors as little as possible, to be honest with you. They got, that's the second, after focus pulling, that's the second hardest job on set. I don't know how they do it. They got so much on their mind. Having said that, you know, if you're, you know, like I'm saying, there's no need for excess chatter. You're not there to be their buddy. You know, you're there to make them feel, and this goes to Chris's question, to make them feel comfortable. Like I said, I try to give them space. And if it's something that I try to work around them. Like the last thing I want to do is to have an actor have to do something for my camera if I can avoid it. Now, like there's going to be times every day, you know, every single day you're going to have to say something that they absolutely have to be there. They got to be on that mark or the whole gag is going to fall apart. But for the most part there, operator, you can work around the actor. You can, you know, within certain limitations, because I don't want to be, as the operator, I don't want to be one more externality that's making their job any more difficult, you know, than it needs to be. Now, you know, now having said that, if it's crucial that we're trying to maintain something and I say, hey, look, you know, Jerry or Sally, whatever their name is, I need you to see where we are? We're about 6 feet from one another. I really, really, really need you to try to stay this exact same distance as we walk backwards. So it's really going to help us. And they get it. You know, they know what acting for the camera is. They know a lot more about our jobs than we think they do. Trust me, the actors know what we're doing. All the ones who've been doing it for a while certainly do. They know they know the lenses. They know what the lenses are seeing. They know what all the crap just outside of frame is doing. They're there to help you. You know, I think because they want to look their best at the end of the day. The actors want, you know, they know your job is to make them look good and look their best. And if they can help you, they will, for the most part. But if you're on a show for a little while and there's a little rapport, nothing wrong with making your life easier by making some suggestions. Hey, scoot this way an inch, scoot that way an inch. But if they're in the middle of talking to their scene partner before you go and you're harassing the shit, you're like, can you look over here? Like try to keep, you got to do that. You got to see where everything is, but keep it to a minimum and stay out of their hair, stay out of their eye line, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's estimating too. If you can't communicate with them, estimate their movement. I mean, it's our jobs to understand how they're going to move in that frame. It's our jobs to watch the rehearsals.
Exactly.
And it's our jobs to give them the space. And if you think they might lean a little bit left because they are a swayer in your frame, you already know that's coming. Yeah. You know, if they turn out one way and their body turns away from camera, maybe a slight suggestion, hey, turn the other way. If most of them know which way to turn, but sometimes it's like more screen time. You know, if you give them the little notes, they love that, but only at the right appropriate time.
Yeah. And I like the little bit of communicate, like I don't live in the narrative world nearly as much as Dave, but the little bit that I do, it usually goes through the AD or maybe through the like a deep director. Like I rarely would start log with an actor. Maybe like Dave was saying, like walking them into the frame slightly just because we're so close to each other already, you know, baby step to the left or right. But you know, I'm not going to start giving direction or anything or really start communicating and on toes and all that good stuff. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you guys for this. And thank you, Chris, for another good one from the audience. Jess, do you have any questions right now for either of our guests?
Yes, actually, I wanted to move into some of the music video stuff. David, do you feel your music video experience has helped you in the narrative storytelling world?
Dave,
you're muted.
Dave, you're muted. It's okay, Dave.
It's probably,
Yes.
let's be honest, it's probably better that way. But
We would
no,
disagree.
it's what you do when you're starting out. You're out there, you're doing as many music videos as you can. Just getting your rig time. Oh, here we go. This wasn't a music video. This was for Obama's re-election in 2012 for a thing called Voto Latino. That's your boy Wilmer. There's Wilmer, and if you look real close, you see everyone's favorite DIT, Arthur Toe. He's Chivo's DIT. You see Arthur right there? There he is.
Yep, I see
There's
Arthur.
There's
I
Arthur.
see Demi Lovato too.
Yeah, but it's Arthur though, dude. He's famous.
Yes.
But no, music video, I still do them. Like I'll do them for the right DP whenever I can. I really enjoy them. It's a great way to get a lot of experience in one day because you're doing it all day. You could, it's doing that. And as far as it translating into narrative, a good music video should be a narrative, right? I mean, well, generally speaking, it should have a little narrative flair to it. So you're telling the story either way, whether it's, especially with one of these, music videos that all seem to have sort of a treatment nowadays, anyway, it's not just a performance piece on stage, even if that's a component to it. So you're still, to me, there's really no difference in music video work versus narrative work in what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing. I'm still trying to do the visual, connections between, two images edited together, create a meaning. You're doing it the same way, but just sometimes in a more creative environment. And the joke is, oh, it's just a music video. We can be, our horizon can be off, or we can be Dutch. That's not, we make that joke a lot, but music videos can be very liberating in the sense that you aren't tied down to strict narrative framing. But as far as what we're doing, moving through, it's the same, and it helps for sure.
It's a lot of freestyle choices too, that come with the music video.
What I'll find is I'll find a couple passes where the DP, and it's generally the DP and not the director, speaking through the director, is he or she will want, okay, they're gonna tell me exactly what they want, like let's say on the first 2 takes. Because basically in a music video, this is how it is for me. They've got 5 setups, and you're doing, your 5 performances, full song performances, 5 costume changes, 5 different backgrounds. So you're doing the song all day, full songs all day, every day. And they'll want something pretty much the way they drew it up on the storyboards, but then they'll always tell you, oh, just go have fun. Just go be crazy on this one. And by that time you're too tired, because it's like the last take of the setup. Yeah. So it's like these little half-ass ins and outs. Oh, it's just so creative. Look at me. Is this what you guys wanted? Like, how's this? Oh, here's some Dutch. Oh, here you go. But I wish they'd let me do the creative take on take 1 and not the, anyway, it'd probably be a little bit more funky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tony, you also do a lot of music videos, but you are in the Nashville market. So is that similar style shooting, I guess, when it comes to storytelling? Yeah. For music videos. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of been a lot of rinse and repeat music videos around here. But, we do have some ambitious young directors that are trying, to make it into like a little short film or make it more of a narrative like storyline to it. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much second what Dave said. And yeah, I would like the go crazy and be creative take. It would be nice if we did that in the first 1 or 2. But yeah, I don't know, especially around here, it's like music videos, they hire me and I just run around all day.
Matt just showed your Justin Lynch clip where you walk backwards and they have the fire.
Okay, yeah, thanks for telling me. Yeah, that was a lot of fun actually. And it was a nice change of pace for music videos around here. That was pretty
because those were like pre-planned shots, obviously.
Yes.
It's safety and effects and fire.
Yeah, and we had a fire department there and everything. But yeah, those were a lot of fun. It was always fun playing off of fire and framing up fire. Super dynamic, obviously.
Right.
But, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That's great stuff. Chris, do you have another one ready from the audience?
Yes.
Thank you.
I lost it. There's so many. Oh, there. So this is for David, Tony, Jessica, actually everybody here. With the experience and knowledge that you have now on Steadicam, what would be one thing that you wish you could tell yourself when you were a beginner? And this is from Nathan Hutchins. Thank you for the question.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, I think maybe I think I would have tried to take some of the pressure off myself initially. I think that was a big one for me. I'd like to think about that a little more. Dave, you want to suggest?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's for sure. I mean, I was working myself into a panic for nothing. I mean, jobs that I was making with my flyer on an HVX, making $150 a day, I was acting like, you know, the fate of the world was resting on my shoulders instead of just looking at it, you know, as an opportunity to get some time in the vest and to learn set etiquette and protocol and how to behave myself and act around other people and all that stuff. But I think I spoke to it earlier when I said, I got scared of Don Juan. Like, I got into a comfort zone. It's like learning bad habits. Like, I learned a couple of bad habits, and one of them was relying on walking backwards and not doing Don Juan because it was hard for me at first. Oh, and I panned that way, but it's not the way I want it. Oh, but it's, you know, and just because it wasn't easy for me right out of the gates, I got frustrated and abandoned it. And here I am, you know, 15 years later, still not comfortable operating like that. So I wish, you know, to speak to a bigger thing is don't be scared of things that you're not good at early on. Work on those things better. Don't just, I wish I hadn't, because when you first get your rig and you're practicing in your apartment or outside, you know, wherever, everybody's just going to walk forward. Like, oh, here I am, dude, look at me. I'm Steadicam and I'm walking forward. Oh my God, it looks good. The horizon. First job you're going to get. First job, you're going to be walking backwards. You're going to be doing parallel tracking shots, which are to me still the hardest things to do in the business. You know, I wish I had practiced the hard stuff early instead of just practicing. And even on set, now this is being very honest, even on set early on, I would try to maybe steer the shots instead of doing what they wanted me to do, or even they weren't asking me to do anything that was unreasonable. Like it should have been something I was able to say, oh yeah, I can do that. Let's try it this way, because it was something that, not because I thought it would be a better shot or it made sense for the story, but because it was easier for me. And that's not the way to approach it. The way to approach it is what's the best way to get the shot. You know, it sounds like a corny cliche, but it's true. You know, so getting all the skills down early instead of just, you know, focusing on what you're good at early can really help you. And I wish I had done that. That's my regret.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say like attacking the things that, like getting out of your comfort zone is about what you're saying. And I wish I would have done that myself, even, because I can completely relate to, you know, well, what if we do this shot over here going this way down the hallway because the sled's naturally on the left side of my body. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my head, but I can completely agree with that. But yeah, even like with set etiquette, I wish I had, you know, thrown myself even onto more, you know, little student films and everything, and just gotten even more comfortable working with the director and DP, and even just how you communicate with those people. So I could have learned that earlier instead of learning it the hard way for me. So yeah.
Sometimes you need to learn it the hard way, though, in order to, you know, really learn. I'd say for something, for me, I wish I would have gone back and tried to find ways to make my skin thicker, if that makes sense. Like, I think about the early days and how sensitive I was to the nose. You're not going to be able to do it. You know, women in camera, all this other stuff, where I come from a world where I should fight for my right, you know, but I need to learn to shut up more. I need a therapist, you know, I need David, I'm sure that basic training really does help learn how to not let your personal thoughts get in the way of doing your job. those things you need to know right away. And sadly, you have to learn those the hard way. But if there's a way that can make you stronger going into an uncharted territory of filmmaking where there's no rules, no guidelines, I mean, everybody has to find a way to be the most professional they can be. That's what I think I wish I would have had, was more thicker skin as a younger kid, naive, full of dreams and hopes, and not understanding how the film industry really works outside of.
I think that's something we just gain over time, you know, because I mean, I was probably in a similar spot, like even getting released from jobs or turned down, you know, and then whatever, like that stings. But it's just not as big of a deal as it used to be. And I'm not saying released and replaced, but, you know, yeah, just getting dropped from a job, or, you know, it's like, something else will come along once you've been doing it for a little while. So, yeah.
This is great. And there was a comment that you made that actually segues into one of Doug's next questions. Doug, as a writer-director, I am curious to hear what you have to say about communication. And so if you would be so kind as to offer a question to these guys about communication.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering what it is like for you guys as operators, not only communicating with the director, but also the cinematographer. And had you ever run into a situation where you're getting opposing notes or direction, and how maybe you handled that?
Oh, all the time, man. You're going to get, man, I've had jobs where I've had two directors and a DP, and the two directors aren't agreeing with each other. What you do in that opinion, in my opinion, in that circumstance, is you go with who's going to hire you, man. Like, you got to go with, like, if you've got director in this year and DP, she's saying this, and who brought you on that job? Who's gonna bring you back? And it doesn't come up on, it's usually subtle things. And I'm good at that. I'm usually good at, like, letting them talk amongst themselves to work it out. I don't stay out of it. I put myself in it, but I make sure there's a decision made, because sometimes we're about to roll. Second AC's up there with her clapper, and I'm going, what are we doing, guys? Like, are we doing this? Are we doing that? Like, and you don't want to be in that position. So, but it happens, and it will continue to happen. You're gonna find the director and DP at odds with each other sometimes, right up until the point where you're shooting. And at that point, I would just say, go with whomever either A, brought you on that job, or B, is going to continue to hire. If you're never going to see that director again, and even if he or she's going bananas and is a big screamer, which is pretty rare, like, and you feel like you might get yelled at more, might be, still go with whoever, go with, who's going to go with your ally there, who's going to have your back. That's who you go with.
Yeah. I mean, that would ultimately be, that's how I've handled that in the past as well. I'll also try, well, such and such just said this, and usually the answer is, well, just do what I said. That's usually what the DP says. And I'm like, okay. And then as we go and do the take, I'm like, that guy's pissed off behind me, but whatever. Like,
it's so uncomfortable, man. You know what I mean?
Don't make eye contact. Like, it's like, and maybe the next take, do it the way the director wanted. Try to make everybody happy, but you can't always make everybody happy, I guess, is the answer. Yeah, really. And that absolutely happens. Even in my little bit of music video world, I mean, DPs and directors at odds with each other on 1-day music videos or 2-day music videos. It's very, very common, and a great question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great perspective. Bella, do you have another one for us?
Yeah, I've got a question for David. So you obviously have a big personality. How have you managed having fun and enjoying your job while some other people, are pretty serious on set?
Oh, I mean, it's because I really like it. I've had really bad jobs in my life. I worked at gas stations where I had to clean toilets. I worked as a busboy at the Outback Steakhouse, at the height of their popularity, where it was just endless dishes, just one after the other. So to me, to be Steadicamming and carrying around a camera and having fun, I mean, that's a dream come true. it's another thing. There's a lot of funny people running around, but what you'll find is all of us, like we're not goofing around when it's time to work. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like everyone who's a jokester, like you're not going to last if, you're being a clown, you know what I mean? So it is a fine line of sort of, having fun. I'm having fun because I really like it. Like, I really like what I'm doing. And I sometimes wonder when I see people like super grumpy, and I know, who knows what people got going on at home, maybe their cat died, or their mom's been yelling at them, or whatever's going on. Like, I sometimes get baffled because I'm like, what are you doing in this business? Like, this is a hard business, with you have to work hard for the rewards that will come if you keep working towards them. Why aren't you just working in an office somewhere? Or I get baffled when I see people who really don't look like they want to be out here. Like, I'm like, go, bye. Yeah. There's enough people who want to be, but I like to keep it, hey, look at this, man. Like, I work with those people all the time. There's Maddie. There's Jeff Peters, our gaffer. There's Fadi, the other operator, and Donato Bagnola, key grip there. I work with those people all the time, and we have a good time. But we're serious but we all keep our mouth shut and do our job safely when it's time to do it. And I think that's my approach to it. Have as much fun as you can, and, be safe and serious when the camera's rolling. That's pretty much it.
Right. Absolutely. That was great. Thank you so much.
I like that you're having fun, David, and Matt's in the background pushing your stand, doing business.
Matt was just sitting there being disapproving. He wasn't even pushing. He was just leaning against it with Matt's he's like the guidance counselor, you know what I mean? Like, he's there for us. He's there to steer us in the right direction. That's what he's doing.
That was a hard show too. I mean, we were working in Malibu every day for weeks, long hours, unsafe. It was a challenge, and without a little bit of humor, how are you going to get through it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there have to be sincere moments where you get the job done, but if you're not having fun with the people that you're with, then what are you doing?
We did make the most of that, man. We had a really good camera team with, Dan and Lauren and everybody. And that was, like, put it this way, the mind tends to romanticize those harder jobs. And all I can remember from that is how much fun we had in those gators going to and fro lunch every day. And, and there we are. There's our camera team. Oh my goodness. Chase Parsons, the handsomest DIT in the business. And, that was a lot. I still, work with Damien a lot, and Lauren is actually staying at my place in Big Bear right now, as we speak. She's up there right now. So yeah, like, still see these people, man. I still work with them, see them, and they're my friends. It's outside of work and at work. It's a good family we have, Matt.
I agree. Chris, do you got another one from the audience for us?
Yes, this is from Chase Weeks, and he's asking, what is your best and worst Steadicam experience, and what did you learn from both?
That's a good
Go ahead, Tony.
That's a tough one. Oh gosh, and a very good question, Chase, which I know Chase, by the way, he's out in Arkansas. But I'll be fully candid here. My worst Steadicam experience right off the bat, it's the only job I've been released from, but I learned to not talk back to the director. And it wasn't like on the spot, you're fired, but it's like I was on hold for, days after that, the following week. And I got a call from the producer the next day. Hey, sorry, we're not going to meet, and it was a minuscule stuff. But, we had a disagreement, which I just didn't understand the communication. Again, it was the DP saying, do this. I was following the DP's guidelines. And the director came to me and was not happy about that and was ripping into me in front of everybody. And I just sort of stopped him. And I said, with an attitude, okay, we'll do it exactly how you want. And I'm sure other things were said, but that was absolutely a very hard learning experience. And even working with, one of my mentors, Julian Honacki, he's an older Steadicam operator, a Canadian guy. going back, looking at it, I was like, I don't know what happened. What did I do? And, I explained to him the rundown of events, and he was like, you talked back in front of people even, and he was like, never, ever. I mean, there you go. So, I don't know, maybe the director was probably a little out of line. I probably it shouldn't have happened the way it happened, but, without a doubt, that's, the worst Steadicam experience I had. Or running from a horse and spiking my sled into the ground in Texas. But honestly, like, that wasn't even as bad. Like, the blow to my ego and the learning experience from, being released from a job it was a tough learning experience. But being fully candid or honest like that's the worst. Now I'm trying to think of the best to rebound here. But yeah, I don't know, Dave, do you want to go on?
Yeah, I'll talk about my worst. Like, I was thinking as you were, I was listening to you, and my worst was very, very easily came to my mind. But the best, I don't have the worst for me is I was fired from my first feature. It was an indie film with a big cast that was getting shot out here in town, and some friends of mine were line producing at the LA unit. This was, I don't know, 06 or 07, I think. So a while ago. And I got fired. I didn't do a good enough job. It wasn't good enough. I don't necessarily feel like weren't asking me to do too much. I had to do about probably a 200-yard walk and talk up a slight hill in Echo Park. Nothing crazy, but a slight one. But I reached muscle failure only for like the second time in my life doing the shot, because we had spent the first, now here's a huge excuse, but we had spent the morning with the rig on. We should have just done it on the dolly that was sitting right there. But we started up on an O of a donut shop. And then, I sort of jibbed down as my Steadicam. I'm in low mode, and I brought the camera down, and I came into a full resting squat onto an actor who was sitting on the curb. And we did that, I don't know, probably 20 times to get it, because it was timing. He was coming in to sit down, and some I goofed up on, some he goofed up on. But my thighs, my quads were already feeling a little burnt, and I had been bartending. I was still bartending back then at the Good Luck Bar, God rest its soul. And so I'd worked all night, and I got there. And so by the time it comes for that wasn't even supposed to be a shot. I was only brought out to do the walk and talk. But we did this in the morning. It took a couple hours. It was something they cooked up. So I'm already cooked. Well, we get up to, we do the first take, and we're going, and we're not more than 50 yards walking, like on page 1 of like a 3-page dialogue scene, and I can feel it, and I stop, and I just stop walking. The actors are like, these are actors, and they're like, what's happening here? And I'm like, oh guys, sorry, there's a problem with, like, I blamed it on my gear, and I gathered my wits, and we went back to 1, and we were going to do it again. And I fell down. Like, I was going in the frame. It was all jarbly and jumbly, and I'm trying to hang on, and muscle failure. And I fell down. I broke my old Cine Monitor 3A, that old trans video. And there was a company move at lunch, and they asked me not to go. They said, don't, you're not welcome to go on to the next. And I didn't deserve to go, but I cried. I remember I sat there, full of like honesty, like they're all pulling out. I'm loading my gear up. My friends are hugging me. They know, they're sorry. And I sat there and I cried like a baby, like not bawling, but I was like, and that was my, like, I was like, am I even doing what am I doing? Is this what I want to, do? But I mean, obviously that was 13 years ago. I bounced back, but I still think about that, how embarrassing it was I didn't know enough. Nowadays I'd be like, let's put the camera on the dolly, guys. I'll give you 2 of this squat into that. If we don't get it, like, I got to save my energy for the 3-page walk and talk uphill. I didn't know enough. I was so overwhelmed, that I didn't have the experience to sort of speak up for myself. And that's something that I've learned. I wouldn't let that happen nowadays. I'd also be on a grip tricks too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not walking 300 yards uphill backwards anymore. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sometimes speaking up, though, doesn't kind of do favor either. I don't know. I was doing one of my very first music videos with I don't even remember DP director's name, Stokes something, I don't know, music video, but I just couldn't understand what he was saying. And I turned around to try and get clarity, and he got so mad. Somehow I questioned him. He came over and literally yanked the Steadicam while I was wearing it and almost knocked me down because he wanted me to frame it the way he was trying to tell me, although he wasn't really telling it the right way. But the moment he yanked me, I was like, all right, I'm going to pack up my shit and leave because you just endangered me and my body. My back hurts now. You almost snapped my spine. But, you know, you have to kind of stand your ground. And a lot of people, instead of you actually standing your ground because of safety or your health or something, everybody wants to turn around and say, oh, they couldn't do the job. When there's other factors there where we're just not going to put ourselves in that position. Yeah. And you don't know how to communicate that in the first years of your Steadicam career.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So I've learned, like, the majority of the time, like with DPs or directors, the majority of the time I get along with them well, and we find some sort of a working relationship. But I think some people, it's just not gonna, or they have their certain operator or whatever, and that's what they're used to, and you're just right off the bat, it's not, you know what I mean? But I mean, that's also rare. And even I think early on in your career, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, I'm screwed, but that's kind of what I chalk it up to. 99% of the time, everything's fine. That 1 or 2%, it wasn't going to happen anyways. That's how I see it, at least.
It's definitely, it builds you to be stronger.
Yeah.
Having gone through stuff like that too.
Yes. Yeah. Cause I don't think I think you have to go through it, absolutely, like you said.
Yeah. If we really didn't like it, we wouldn't have continued the path.
Exactly.
Now, best has to be something live. Honestly, I look back on it, and the best feelings I have from work were doing my live stuff, be it some concerts over at the Greek. That's amazing, at the Greek Theater here in LA, doing live concerts there. And that's kind of what Tony does. It's only going up to their Jumbotron. I'm just doing it to their big screens, doing the iHeart gigs. I mean, we do everybody. We do, literally all the big artists through big, it's Clear Channel. It's corporate media. They always do their album release parties either in New York or out here. And it's cool because it's on the old Johnny Carson, Jay Leno stage. It's a real intimate room, and we'll have the world's biggest music acts in there. And my job, it's 45 minutes, and the adrenaline's going. This is something Tony deals with on a daily basis. And like, I get sent out. It's an easy gig. I get sent out 2 times a song to just go do a little pass on the artist. And I stay over there. All right, Dave, walk it out again. And I go back and I do that. And there's 5 or 6 other cameras going on. And I just feel so good about myself when we're done with those shows and I haven't fallen, because, and it's like, yay, he didn't fall. Like, the bar's real low, for self-satisfaction there. But honestly, it's like it's such an adrenaline rush doing that live stuff that I think that that's my favorite, best moments of Steadicam is doing, stuff that's going out to the world right then and there, with no margin of error. And it's like, all right, I like the pressure. I kind of get off on it a little bit. It's fun,
Yeah. I mean, I think for best moments, there's it seems like 1 or 2 jobs or a handful of jobs a year are just like, they sort of peak. But also, like, live television for me, I think that adrenaline rush is just amazing. Like, before all COVID hit, like, I was doing like live news for MSNBC and some for NBC, which sounds pretty boring, but I don't know, it was a blast, man. I mean, and even the challenge of working with different directors that aren't even on site, they're back in New York, directing you remotely. But I don't know.
There's going to be a lot more of that, man. There's going to be a lot more of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And hopefully it comes back. I was on par. I was going to do a lot of that stuff before all this stuff hit, before COVID hit, and then it just cut. But yeah,
that's
trying
great.
to think of like best moments. There's a lot. I mean, it's kind of cataloged on my Instagram.
I think
That's where I put it.
one of the best.
All I ever see is Tony out to fancy dinners on Instagram with his special lady friend. That's that's all.
You married her. You just married her this past year, didn't you, Tony?
Yeah, we got married. Yeah, we're
Yay.
going to a winery to celebrate her birthday. So today,
Awesome.
after this, yeah, I'm actually gonna put on a like decent. But yeah.
To tag on to your guys' favorites, I think the best thing I've ever worked on was something I did for myself.
Yeah.
It was my own shoot, my own Steadicam winner that I directed and operated.
Oh, cool.
That it's just a really nice feeling to be able to bring some resources and some amazing people together that believe in you and you believe in them, and you get to just have a nice fun day or two or short or something.
Yeah. And it's weird, like sometimes it's not even necessarily like the biggest budget jobs. It's like sometimes a small or medium-sized crew, but you have all the right equipment and the expectations are correct and you get everything you wanted. And then, it's like I worked on a Pampers commercial in Arkansas, It's a very small crew, but it was just a blast. And I mean, we nailed everything that the DP and director wanted, and the conditions were right. And it's weird how the stars align, it's like, it's not a super glamorous, exciting thing, but I don't know, sometimes they just hit right.
Thank you for sharing.
I'm a dork. Yeah.
We're all dorks, Tony. That's why we're in the camera business.
No, it's great. This is another great question and even more great shared experience. I'm going to combine two questions from the audience for you guys. This is from Kurush Bakhtiari. Pardon me if I pronounce that very poorly. But being a Steadicam operator, we have all these little tools that can help out others on set, like Teradek, monitors, batteries, wireless focus, Band-Aids, whatever's necessary sometimes. How do you know where to draw the line on what tools to bring without being taken advantage of? And then the second part, which is from Kirk Flaum, is how many backup parts of your kit do you feel are necessary?
Two good questions. I mean, I don't know. It kind of depends. I mean, it's like if you're doing like a little music video with your friends, I mean, you kind of start to throw things in. But if it's a full budget, Carrie Underwood music video, and not to nickel and dime them, but you need to get rentals for things. I mean, so that's sort of the rental question as far as like what to rent and what not to. But that also is based on your market probably, right? And then as far as when to get too many things, I mean, I don't know. You can't really have too many accessories as far as I'm concerned. If there's a need for it, you should probably get it. And then for me with backup gear, cables is my big thing. Cables and like a backup monitor. And I mean, some things you have to have, like backup power cables, backup BNCs. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Dave, Jess, I mean.
Yeah. I'm a terrible businessman and terrible to my camera department and their expendables, because people know they can come to me and ask me for anything and I give anything away. You know what I mean? Like it could be, Matt's like, where's all our tape? Oh, I gave it to Art, or I gave it to the director's making her boyfriend a freaking birthday card and needed some tape. Like I'll do, like I give everything away, and I would work for everybody for free if I could. Like so I'm a terrible person to ask for that. And but as far as like being taken advantage of, I think Tony hit it, right on the head. Like if you're helping your friends out, or you're just getting started, bring everything you have, man. Bring everything you have. Be the person that solved problems and was able to go, yeah, I got that. And don't worry about like what you're necessarily getting paid when you're just trying to build those relationships. Like you'll know if you're getting taken advantage of in life. That's up to you. We all have our threshold for what we'll tolerate and put up with. But I would advocate, certainly starting off, bring whatever you have. Don't necessarily worry about whether or not you know, you're getting, you know, that extra handheld monitor for the AC who doesn't have one yet because he or she's just starting to, like, help. If you have it, bring it and distribute it and and all that makes you look better. It's all going to make you look more pro, more better. And then, you know, when you do get on those Carrie Underwood full budget music videos, whatever you can get, man, whatever the market will bear, honestly, you know, like they've got money. People are getting paid. You'd be surprised what they're paying for those trusses and those risers and all those lights and all that stuff. They got no problem, if that's what the video calls for, bringing out all that gack to make production design look one way, and they're going to nickel and dime the operator. You know, is that a job you want to be on in the first place? Because that, to me, that means they don't value the people. It's the people are interchangeable, and we are. I mean, let's be honest, we are. We're all replaceable. We're all interchangeable. But I don't want to feel that way necessarily going into the job. You know, I might know that intellectually, but you know, like I don't want to feel this. So again, it's very circumstantial as far as, you know, it's a sliding inventory scale of what you're charging for and what you're not, at least in my experience.
Yeah. For me, it's always kind of consistently different, you know. I mean, it's like you might get some job and, you know, their wireless goes out and you happen to have it. I mean, if it's a producer you always work with and they're like, please just throw this in, it's like, whatever, you know, I don't really care that much to make the extra couple $100 or whatever it is, you know. But sometimes you stick to your guns, or if it's someone that's ripped you before and, you know, I mean, it's you pick and choose, and absolutely circumstantial, as you said, is how I feel about it.
Yeah, to take on that, I worked recently with Doug last year on his short film Sweet Estate movie, and Doug and I go back to college years, and, you know, I have the camera equipment, I have some skills, you know, and I believe in this person. I believe in his storytelling. So when he asked me to come and do a Steadicam One, I brought my focus, I brought my monitor. I want to help invest in his project. I want the greater good of things to come out, you know, down the line, if he were to become more of what he really wants to do and whatever, he always knows I'm there for him.
Right.
That will make his storytelling at ease, I think.
Yeah.
Having people.
Man, I work for people for free. The last job I did, that job I did on March 16th, Maddie, it was for Nick DeRuve. Remember him from Foursome?
Of course I do.
But Nicky's shooting his, you know, he's shooting his feature.
Yeah, he's doing his directing stuff now, which is great.
Yeah. My man needs me for 2-3 hours, drive out to the middle of nowhere and do him a Steadicam shot. I'm going to say yes 100 out of 100 times for that, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that we can do we own the gear. You have the skill set. You know what I'm saying? Like focus, you can donate a very precious skill. I can donate, you know, my mediocre Steadicam skills, but like my top of the line equipment, you know what I mean? And I can go out there, especially when it's something that's short like that, like a little couple hour day. Come on, I'll do that. I'll do that till the day I die. I will help my friends out on their projects with whatever I can scrounge in the garage, you know, to help them. And again, I feel like the people that I would do that for would do the same for me if I ever needed to, you know, and those are the relationships that we've built up over the years out here.
Part of the networking and the community right there, helping out your friends. So
thanks, guys.
Yeah, this is great. Chris, I know that we have to sadly say goodbye to you at this point. I'm going to pull a couple more questions, but if you wanted to.
Thank you, everyone, and nice meeting you, Tony and David.
Nice
And
to meet
then goodbye to everyone that logged in. Thank you for all your questions. Stay
See you
safe.
next week, Chris.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to find one or two more and then we'll head out of here. And so Q&A. Dave, I'm going to love your answer on this. On set, how do you know how much to eat at breakfast or lunch without compromising your operating?
Man, I don't eat. I eat, like, in the morning I'll have a banana and a Stogue and a cup of coffee. And for lunch, I can't eat. I can't eat because here, the vest fits right here. Like right where the food goes, like undigested food goes, and it stops right where the vest, because I wear my vest kind of high. I don't wear it on the hip bones. I wear it up high on my love handles. And so like I can't eat, man. I can't eat in the morning because it's right there. But what I'll do is I'll eat very lightly at lunch. Matt knows exactly what my actual diet is, but and then I'll eat when I get off work. Like I'll drink water and eat bananas for the potassium. That's pretty much what I'll do, a power bar here and there. And I'm hungry. It's not like I'm not hungry, but I'm a little nauseous because it's always hot. I think California, it's hot out here. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot in the vest. It's hot under the lights. And so I just find myself not eating that much, which I know is not going to be the answer you're going to get from a lot of people. You know, a lot of people, like, they're really into like their fuel, and it makes sense. It's science-based, you know, it's factually based, you know, to put these good things in your body. I just can't, because I feel like I'm going to throw up because it's so hot, and they got all the Cinetape on there. It's all heavy. And, you know, it's the Cinetape puts it over the edge. And so I just sort of drink water, eat bananas and coffee. And then, you know, I'll eat when I get home. You know, I'll eat a big meal at night right before I go to bed. Me personally.
Heartburn can affect your operating. Just want to let everybody know. Heartburn.
Oh yeah. I can't eat anything when I'm working.
What about you, Tony? Are you an eater, or are you the opposite?
I don't really have any rules when it comes to eating, probably. Like, if anything, I set up the Steadicam as close to crafty as possible, usually. I call it my office even sometimes. And then even when it comes to lunch, like by that time I'm so damn hungry, like I just load up, because we've been doing Steadicam for the first half of the day often. So I eat too much and then I crash. I'm super sleepy. And if we have an hour lunch, here's a secret. I do a power nap somewhere. Like I go and hide somewhere and I do a 10 or 15 minute power nap. And then usually I pound coffee and I'm like right back at it. But
me too. Same thing. Yeah. I'll go take a nap and then coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I timed it out for an hour nap, or to be able to nap within the hour, you get exactly 40 minutes. So you got 10 minutes to get from set, grab whatever you can grab and take to your car. And then you got good 40 minutes to nap. And then you got 10 minutes to get your ass back on set.
Yeah, I'm usually on a mission. I try not to talk to people, no eye contact. I know I'm going to sleep already. It's already on most jobs. If it's an hour lunch, I'm sleeping somewhere. So I'm so tired and exhausted, seriously. And I swear it helps me for the second half of the day. I think I absolutely do better work if I get that 10-minute power nap. Producers out there, everyone, that's what naps are good.
No, anything that helps. You find what works for you and you go with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last one for fun. What's your guys' favorite movie?
Raiders of the Lost Ark, man.
For me, it's Apocalypse Now, actually.
Doug, what's yours?
I probably don't have one, but I'll say Ghostbusters, because it's the first movie I fell in love with when I was a kid.
Oh, Jurassic Park is that movie for me.
Okay.
Jess, what about you?
The Wizard, 1989, Fred Savage, the first Nintendo movie.
Lopez loves that movie.
What about you, Bella? Do you have a favorite movie?
Yeah, definitely. Goodfellas. I got my poster in the back right here. My mom never let me watch it, but you know, my dad was down, so it was my favorite.
That's a classic. It's a good one.
Yeah,
so,
good,
bad, news.
Good to bed, yeah.
So, thank you again for everyone who made it through this session. We appreciate all of your questions, and we, are so grateful to have this platform to share these stories with everyone. Next week, we're going to have a legend in the game. He has worked with Tony Scott and on Mission Impossible movies. He was the A-camera first on The Revenant before moving into operating and being a cinematographer himself. John Connor will be with us. And I personally am stoked to have him on board with us. His father was a legend in the game himself, working on the Top Gun movie, and now John has worked on the newer Top Gun movie. It's just going to be a great session. Please, the link should be in the chat at this point in time. If not, I'll put it there momentarily, but join us as we speak with John Connor about his experience. And again, the link, did you throw it there already, Jess? I'm getting it right now. Okay, great. So please join us as
He's got my favorite Instagram page, by the way.
He has
John's
the best throwbacks ever.
His pictures, man, his throwback set pictures from all these massive movies that we all love. I mean, I feel bad. I message him probably too much. I should probably back off on my John Connor direct messaging, but I can't help it because his content is so amazing. He's probably blocked me. You know what I mean? But it's dude, I'm going to go look at his Instagram page right now.
It's some of my favorites.
Yeah. We found some really good pictures. There's one of him on the table with Colin Anderson in Star Trek. And he's like right there with the focus wheel. Can't wait. And then there's all this unstoppable train stuff with Tony Scott. There's
another, I think it's from Domino, and there's 4 assistants all with tape measures out to like the same little like cross section. And sincerely, they're shooting with 4 film cameras, and there's assistants that are just like pulling measuring marks. Just, it's unbelievable how they worked at that point in time. There's another great one where he's wearing a set of goggles because it was like hooked up to the video tap because they're on like 1,000mm lens doing a Marlboro commercial with horses, and they want him to pick out a particular person on a horse in the middle of like 100 horses on this super long lens. And it's just fascinating. It's going to be a great one. Again, thank you all for being here. Thank you to Tony and to David for coming on today. Great session. Thank you to Bella and Doug, as well as our friends at Learn Filmmaking who had prior engagements and so aren't with us at this point in time. Thank you again to Merlin. I know I didn't get into a lot of your questions, Merlin. I'm sorry for that, but we appreciate you and the work that you do for us, and to Jess for guiding these conversations and sharing her experience as well.
Thank you, everybody. I love the participation today, and it was really nice, engaging with everyone. And Tony, it's great to see you too. I know you're on the other side of the country, but
been a while.
Bringing you into the SteadiSchool community has been very rewarding. And David's actually kind of been there with us since the beginning stages, helping us with the ideas of the school and definitely donations. Appreciate that, David.
I'm looking at those Axis wheels right now. They're right there.
We're excited to have them when we get back to it. We want to get back into being live, and we're all excited to shed the virus and meet in person again. And so
can't wait.
Can't wait to see some of your posts of you guys working.
Yeah.
Thanks again, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Dave.
Bye.
Yes. Thanks for being with us.